Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. There was a lot of craziness happening with Brazil. Brazil was not happy with spying. They did not want us spying on them. They did not want anybody spying on them. Well, it turns out Brazil has admitted to spying themselves. And this, not just on United States ambassadors or what have you, on people from all over the world. And the difference, well, I don't know if it's a difference. They say all the spying was done within the bounds of their legal framework. But obviously the same could be said about NSA spying, right?
Yeah, when I read this, I was fascinated on two levels. Number one, the excuses, not really excuses, but the explanations that Brazil is using are the same ones that the NSA uses, which is this stuff is all legal because we made it legal, but still it is legal by the letter of the law. And then the counter side to this is that those who are angry with Brazil, like for example, if the US doesn't like that Brazil was spying, they kind of have no leg to stand on because the US does the same thing. It just seems at this point everyone is spying on everybody, and it's created a situation where nobody can really complain without being completely obvious hypocrites about it.
Yeah. The claims from Brazil here are that they spied on rooms rented out by the U.S. Embassy from 2003 to 2004.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I would assume it's still going on. I mean, I just assume that most developed countries have some form of spying going on especially when people are in their own country that they've deemed worthy of investigation.
Of course.
But I mean, yeah, and I can't say that if I were the head honcho, I wouldn't be doing the same thing. I mean, I just assume it's going on everywhere. And would the world be a better place if every country admitted it? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be better. Certainly there would be more clarity, more disclosure. And the thing is, I don't believe for a second that that diplomats and elected officials don't know this is going on. And so in other words, it's not really news to them. It's more news to the population in many cases. So then it's a question of would it be better if the average person knew that this was going on? I don't really know. I'm not sure. Certainly, I always think more information is generally good.
Yeah. I wonder if at this point, our ambassadors, emissaries, what have you, whatever you want to call them, are trained in kind of being aware as to whether or not they're being spied on, or if they have training in, I don't know, different types of electronics, and if they bring equipment with them to detect bugs and things like this. I'd be fascinated to know about that. And if it's not part of their training, well, it probably should be. Seems like it's happening everywhere. Here's a story about a Bigfoot hunt. This story is kind of stupid, but it brings up something much bigger that I want to talk about. There were a couple of Bigfoot hunters apparently walking around with guns in the woods of Oklahoma, looking to kill Bigfoot. When one man apparently heard a barking noise, turned around and shot his friend in the back. This is kind of like a Dick Cheney scenario here, except I don't think Dick Cheney was looking for Bigfoot. I guess the guy is going to be fine, but yeah, apparently there haven't really even been any Bigfoot sightings in that area. But so where they got the idea from, I started thinking about it, and I had a long talk with a friend of mine about all of these television shows, like looking for Bigfoot and monster hunting and ghost hunters and ghost this, ghost that, monster this, monster that. And we both agreed that these shows are so infuriating because you sit there and you watch for an hour and the shows end the same way every time. Nobody finds anything. And you're just left with a bunch of questions and crappy footage and pictures that are incredibly questionable.
Yeah, I don't watch any of these shows. There was one that I caught the end of. It was like a 2-hour special on, are there underwater aliens or something equivalent to this? And they did a whole 2-hour thing where they talked to different people, and they've got weird recordings that came from underneath the sea that nobody can really identify, but it could be anything, who knows what it could be. And they build this drama and nothing happens in the show. I think it's more the type of show to just kind of like lose yourself in it for 2 hours. It's not really for figuring anything out,
Well, here's what gets me. Some of the actors in these shows that are a series that go on for a while admit that they're skeptics themselves and that they're not really expecting to find anything. It's just entertainment. But also for some of these other bigger specials, when they don't find anything, this is a film, this is a show. You've got your pre-production, you've got your production, you've got your post-production. And before it hits the air, everything is done. It's not like this is a live event. So everyone involved knows that it ends poorly. It ends with not finding anything. But hey, I guess once you've invested the money in it, you have to hype it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they're still going to put it out. They've put money in it. Most of these shows, most of these series, nothing actually happens, but that doesn't matter. The point of the show is not to have a conclusion that does X, Y, or Z or prove something. It's to keep people watching long enough so that then they can sell ads to advertisers. That's the way it works. It doesn't matter if they personally find the conclusion titillating or not.
Right. And it seems like people are into this. I don't know. After I watched a dozen or so of these shows, I couldn't handle that anymore. I know how they're going to end. And I gave up. I think they're incredibly stupid and I can't stand them. And I think there should be a disclaimer at the beginning of every single one of these shows that says, we found no conclusive evidence about anything that we're talking about in this stupid show, because those trailers and those previews are so misleading.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you, because let's just be, to a certain extent, if it's about people harming themselves with cigarettes, we need disclaimers. If it's about people just wasting a couple hours because they hear, are there underwater aliens, and they think based on that, the answer might be yes, any reasonable person would know, if there are underwater aliens, I would have heard about it a long time ago, not after this episode has been in production for 6 months. I would already know about it. So obviously, when you start watching it, you know that there aren't underwater aliens.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the question should be asked like this. Are there aliens in your backyard? And that way people get up and go look around instead of sitting in front of a TV. Get some exercise. I don't know. Seems a bit more productive. But we're not going to change culture in America. Let's be honest. Here's a story about a Halloween costume from, where did this take place? Virginia. Okay. A Virginia mother claims she sees nothing wrong with letting her son dress up as a little member of the KKK. And funny, the woman's name is Jessica Black, but she's defending the costume. There's been a lot of outrage. She put up pictures on Facebook, and I guess local television stations went berserk. I guess I also saw in a different article that it's family tradition for some reason.
What a tradition. What kind of a family are you in when the tradition is that on Halloween the little kids dress up like KKK members? It must be a hell of a family.
Yeah. Apparently, she also wrote either on Facebook or somewhere else that, quote, it's supposed to be white with white, black with black, man with woman, and all of that. I guess that has something to do with the KKK's values.
Yeah.
And standards. And she says she's also received threats via Facebook, but no surprise there.
Okay, so is it a form of child abuse? Because the kid is 7, right? Even if the mom says, my kid wants to do this every year, he asks to dress up this way, you could still say that the only reason the kid even thinks of that is because the parents have either directly or indirectly, by allowing others to make the kid want to do this, subjected the kid to what is essentially abuse by being in the KKK and by outwardly wearing this getup, a costume, outfit, uniform, whatever it is. in much of the country, you're setting yourself up for failure. I understand that in many parts of the country, the KKK is more widely accepted. I understand that many members of the KKK, at work, you see Jim in sales, and you don't know he's part of the KKK because he keeps it totally separate, so on and so forth. I understand that. But widely speaking, you're setting the kid up for failure by getting him into the KKK and having him want to wear these costumes. I think you could make a solid argument that it is a form of child abuse.
Yeah, and who knows if the kid even realizes what this outfit is, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that in the home, this kid is getting all sorts of rhetoric and ideas that are not really going to be very helpful later in life. So unfortunately, there's really nothing that can be done about this. Because I don't think it technically qualifies as child abuse. But, well, that couple that named their kid Adolf Hitler.
Right. They lost their kids.
They lost their kids. That was a little bit different, I guess.
Yeah, and it wasn't because they gave them those names. I mean, there was a whole bunch. I think it's generally safe to assume when you name your kids Adolf Hitler, there's probably something else we can find that the parents are doing that isn't that good for the kids.
Yeah, I think in the case of that family, the mother was actually terrified that the dad was going to kill her. And if I recall correctly, not 100% sure. Anyway, don't dress up your kid as a member of the KKK for Halloween. I think that's really the moral of the story here. Like I need to tell our members that. Anyway, yeah, that's it for today's bonus show.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.